Check this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Chaotic Strategies. Hey, this week I'm going to kind of go over my top 5 tips and tricks that I use to pretty much almost always win at the game of Monopoly. We play Monopoly a lot here in our home, and it has gotten to the point where I'm not allowed to play with my family anymore because I always win. Now, I'm not a professional Monopoly player by any means, but there are some strategies that I think people should be mindful of when playing this game. This game is not necessarily a full game of chance by rolling the dice and just whatever card you draw when you land on certain squares. So, to get started, are my top 5 best strategies to use when playing Monopoly. So the first strategy that I utilize the most is you want to try to get property as fast as you can and as aggressively as you can. The more property that you get early on, the better chances of that money spent being returned to you through rent fees. From what I've noticed and what other people have done studies on with the game is that the most landed on properties are red and orange. So if you can buy those up early, get those as fast as you can, then as you go playing deeper into the game, you're going to keep getting that money revenue back off of those properties so you can buy more properties. It's tip number 1. Develop property as fast and as hard as you can. Tip number 2 that I have is don't save your money. Don't sit on the money for too long. Now this can go both ways. I think later on in the game you do kind of want to sit on your money a little bit, especially if you're not doing so well, so that way you have money to pay rent fees and all that. But if you can get property early enough into the game, that money's not going to do anything for you by just sitting on it. You want to get it spent, get that property spent, get your houses, get your hotels put up there, and start getting more revenue back into you that way. Don't worry about saving the money, okay? It's not going to do you any good, especially early in the game, okay? Tip number 3 that I have for you guys is one that I use a lot, and I don't bother with utilities. You know, a lot of people will go, oh, I got utilities, I'm going to buy it. Don't aim to buy the utilities. They don't really pay a whole lot throughout the game unless you have, all 4 of the utilities. And even then, if you're trading or you're going bankrupt and you need to sell those utilities off, they're not a good investment. They don't bring you enough revenue as far as the properties and stuff would go. So don't even bother with them. If you get a chance to take one through bankruptcy, somebody's going bankrupt, or you need to buy a property, by all means buy it. But other than that, don't make it a point to buy the utilities. They're just kind of pointless. Okay? Number 4 is develop 3 houses and or your hotels as fast as possible. And here's why. If you play classic Monopoly and you go by the classic rules, you can cause, and it's in the rules, you can cause a house shortage or a hotel shortage. So you have 32 houses that you start with in the game. If you use up all 32 of those houses, you cannot buy any more. So if you bought property quickly, you got your 3 houses on there, you got your hotels on there, and you're monopolizing on the housing market within the game, you're going to win, because now nobody else can place houses on their properties, nobody else can place hotels on their properties, and you are controlling that whole aspect of the game. So get those as fast as possible. Again, that all kind of ties into spending your money as fast as you can, get those properties as fast as you can. If you can do that, you're going to win almost every time. Tip number 5 that I have is later on in the game, and I do this a lot, later on in the game, do not try to get out of jail. If you wind up in jail, do not try to get out right away. sit in there, let it sit, pass turn, roll your dice. You know, you got to roll doubles to get out of jail. Don't spend the money to get out of jail, because what you're, especially if you're controlling the board, you're monopolizing on the board. Let everybody else keep going around and landing on your properties and making that money while you're in jail. You have less of a chance to land on someone else's property and have to pay that money, or less of a chance to land on a chance card draw and, you know, end up paying taxes or whatever. Stay in jail for as long as you can, per the rules. Okay, that's tip number 5. That's what I do all the time. And a lot of people go, "Oh, you're not trying to get out of jail." I don't want to get out of jail. I want to stay right where I'm at. Okay. Bonus tip that I have for you guys as well is, when you start, that I use quite a bit, I pay attention to people's spending habits. The people that I'm playing with, everybody has certain spending habits, and it doesn't matter which type of Monopoly game that you're playing. Everybody's got certain spending habits. Everybody wants to go for, you know, some people want to go for the big expensive property like Boardwalk and whatnot, and others will just kind of buy all the little stuff because it's cheap and they want to squander their money. Depending on how many players you have and the people that you're playing with, pay attention. They have different spending habits, and use that to strategize. So if somebody's going around like me, as soon as I land on a property, I'm going to buy it because I want to buy up as much property as I can. You can still use that. Somebody could use that against me as well. Okay, so they know that a lot of those properties I don't want to give up, and if they can force me into bankruptcy, or they can create a housing shortage or whatnot, you're going to cause problems. It doesn't take very long to have the top player lose everything, and then the bottom player gains it all just by a bad chance card or bad roll of the dice. So that, guys, is my top 5 tips to utilize in Monopoly to get you to win almost every time. You're going to have to kind of think and strategize a little bit using these, especially if you are playing with people who know the game and are very familiar with the game. But I promise you, practice and they'll work out for you later on in your future Monopoly endeavors. Next week, I am going to be posting a video about a game my grandmother found at a yard sale for us called Cathedral. Some of you may know this game. I had never heard of it before. It is a strategy-based building game. I will give you guys a brief rundown on that game and how to play that game and some strategies to use in that game as well next week. With that, I hope you guys have a happy Easter. Stay safe, wash your hands, and we'll see you again in next week's video.